Hey, Seekers. So, we're living in the middle of a major cultural shift around family, boundaries, and healing. Conversations that were once taboo, like estrangement, going no contact, or redefining what a healthy relationship with a parent looks like, are now happening openly and across generations. Recently, public conversations, including one led by Oprah, highlighted just how widespread the shift has become. It's estimated that nearly 1 in 3 Americans is estranged from a family member. What used to be whispered about is now being named. Trauma, generational patterns, unmet needs, and the expanding understanding of emotional harm. But while these conversations often focus on decisions, whether to stay, leave, or distance, today we're slowing the lens down. Because beneath every boundary, every rupture, every no-contact choice, there's a nervous system, a brain shaped by early attachment, and a body that learned how to survive, long before it learned how to feel safe. In this episode, we move away from judgment and into understanding. Dr. Burgos joins us to explore the science of the mother wound, how it forms, how it lives in the nervous system, and how healing doesn't start with cutting ties or forcing forgiveness, but with understanding how the brain and body learn to protect us in the first place. Seekers, this conversation isn't about telling you what choice to make. It's about giving you the clarity to understand why these patterns exist and how healing becomes possible. This is part 1 of the science of the mother wound, where we focus on understanding how the mother wound forms in the brain and nervous system. Then in part 2, we'll talk about what healing and integration might look like once you start seeing the patterns more clearly. This is Perspective Shifts on Healing with the Hanged Woman, where perspective is power. Let's get into it. Hey, Seekers. If you're building a business and something feels off, like you're doing all the right things, but the momentum still isn't there, it might not just be a strategy problem. At 3 of Cups Healing, we offer intuitive marketing solutions using tarot, energy healing, and heart-centered creative guidance. Because the way you feel in your business shapes how you show up, how you make decisions, and how you grow. We help emerging business owners turn inner alignment into outward momentum, so your business can grow with more ease, clarity, and intention. Seekers, if you're ready to build your business in a way that actually feels supportive, book a free consultation with us at 3ofcupshealing.com. Your vision, your magic. Let's make it real. Together. That's 3ofcupshealing.com. And now, back to the episode. Dr. Burgos, I am so excited to have you back on the show.
Me too. I'm so glad to be back.
This is so much fun, and I have been really anticipating excitedly this conversation since we started talking about it, a few weeks ago. I'm really excited to talk about the mother wound with you.
Me too. There's no one better to talk about this with than you.
Aw, sweet baby girl. All right, so I know a lot of our listeners have heard you talk about other topics before, like grief, and some people are familiar with you, but for those who aren't, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to the work that you do?
Ooh. So I went to school to learn neuroscience. I went to school for medical science. I'm a doctor. Throughout all of this process, all these years of getting this education, I've just been learning how to deal with and process, work through all of my personal growth in a very intimate way, because most of the time when I'm going through something, I'm aware of the neuroscience as it's happening.
Right.
So it's been so cool. For example, the most recent big thing is that I had a baby and I had a little bit of postpartum depression, and I was aware of it, like exactly what was happening as it was happening. And I realized there is a gem in this, and I can talk
Wow.
about this in a very different way. And
Yeah.
after that is when you and I met, and we started collaborating, and that's kind of the way that I explain and teach things is coming through lived experience. And even if
Mm.
there's something specific that I haven't gone through, I understand the science of it and all
Right.
the psychology, and I can break it down, and it comes back down to the nervous system and how we all
Mm.
have one.
Right.
And just through that we can find compassion for each other, because we've all experienced a lot of the same feelings but in different settings.
Yeah, absolutely. Ah, so good. So let's just dive in because I know we have a lot to discuss for the mother wound. But let's just start with like getting really honest and finding space for each other. So, what would you say to mothers who are listening to this discussion with their adult children?
I want to say, hi, mom. I love you. So I designed this conversation to be loving for both moms and their adult children. In fact, moms and their adult children can listen to this podcast together. My intention is to find the pathway of highest love for all who are listening. Let's use our hearts to make helpful observations and learn from them together. There's no judgment towards moms or adult children. And of course, for any parents who are listening, try and think about your own childhood first, your own mother wound. And of course, much later on, I will invite us to think about how we parent our children, whether they're young babies or grown adults.
Love that. So, Dr. Burgos, when you hear the phrase mother wound, how do you define it from a scientific and psychological perspective?
Okay, so let's look at this by studying the context of three generations, starting with the grandparent, their adult child, and then the grandchild. Okay. We want to
Mm.
examine harmful childhood experiences for each generation and try to figure out if they are somehow connected. What I'm describing is a cycle where overwhelming and painful childhood experiences are continuously passed down to the next generation. And some harmful events we consider either happened one time and caused a huge emotional impact, or harmful events could have been ongoing throughout childhood.
Hmm. Interesting. So, before we continue learning about harmful childhood events and how prevalent they are in society, should we encourage everyone to take 3 slow, deep breaths in case any painful memories surface up for some of us?
Yes, yes. Okay, let's do that together now.
Okay.
Julianne, you just modeled self love for us.
Oh,
Helping our nervous system relax with deep breathing is a great start to healing ourselves and the world. And I already feel it in my body.
yeah, me too. I feel like a calmer.
Yeah, me too. It works, y'all. It
It
works.
does. It works. Deep breaths, baby.
Okay. So we call these harmful events adverse childhood experiences. The CDC has gathered statistical data on this, and specifically for today's high schoolers. We can find this data. So if you want, you could write this down: 2023 Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And so I went to the CDC website, and this is what it says: adverse childhood experiences are common. 3 in 4 high school students reported experiencing one or more adverse childhood experiences, and 1 in 5 experienced 4 or more adverse childhood experiences. The most common ones that they listed were emotional abuse, physical abuse, and living in a household affected by poor mental health or substance use.
Hmm.
Ending the quote there. So, some of the other major types of adverse childhood experiences include witnessing violence, domestic violence in the home, of course, sexual abuse, absence of emotional support, responsiveness, and affection from the parent, divorce, separation, incarceration, bullying, community violence, natural disasters, refugee or wartime experiences, and witnessing or experiencing acts of terrorism. And this is all separate from low income, like, just all the other
Mm,
things of just life that can happen.
right. Like all the other things of just being alive, being a human in this world,
Exactly.
and then add all of that stuff on top of it.
Yes. And so
Whew.
how you just described it is like it all adds up.
Yeah.
And so when we are assessing a patient or a client, we literally do like a little bit of mental math. The
Mm,
more adverse childhood events that you have in your childhood, that just increases the likelihood for these children to develop more intense mental health issues that can continue into adulthood. So, our mother wound is often linked to these adverse childhood experiences. And furthermore, they can negatively influence our childhood brain to understand ourselves as unworthy of love and to see the world as not safe. And so this is all documented in research. But the great
Yeah.
news is these views of ourselves and the world can continue into adulthood, but it's not permanent. So
Mm.
our brains can learn a better way of seeing ourselves and the world through self-awareness, positive experiences, and therapy. So today we'll talk about how our childhood adverse experiences affect us today, what the healing process looks like, and how we can all interrupt multi-generational trauma from being passed down to the next generation.
Whew.
Woo!
Whoa, you got a mighty load here to carry, Dr. Burgos.
Girl, I work out. I can carry it. Let's
You
go.
can carry it. All right, let's do this. So, as we were talking earlier, you say that the mother wound can also be understood using attachment theory. Can you expand on attachment theory and why you emphasize its historical context?
Okay, everybody write down attachment theory. You can look it up later. So here's a little history. Dr. John Bowlby began studying child development around 1929. So
Mm,
the reason is though, because he experienced a severe traumatizing separation from his parents when they sent him to boarding school at a very young age. And so as he became a doctor and he decided to continue studying this. And also he worked with children. And his genius led to so much. He actually ended up consulting the World Health Organization to investigate several different things that affect us today. So,
mm.
one is World War II, the children who were orphaned and separated. He wanted to go study them. He told the World Health Organization we should do that. He's also the genius behind the Maternal Care and Mental Health Report that came out in 1951 that was pioneered by World Health Organization. And so all of this background for many years led to eventually him releasing his report on the mother-child attachment theory in
Okay.
1958 and the attachment and loss in 1969. And at this time, it was absolutely revolutionary to consider that children have emotional and psychological well-being that we need to be thinking about. Like what? They
Yeah.
have feelings?
Right?
So
What? They're little humans? What?
what? So he continued developing his work alongside many, many other scientists throughout the years. And it's grown into this whole thing. So today we have been studying this. Okay, so let's do some math. If you were born in 1958, today in 2025, you're 67 years old. The
Mm.
year you were born is the first time anyone started really caring about how the quality of parenting affects children. And back then, the popular parenting approach demanded strict obedience, rigid rules, harsh discipline with little warmth or open communication. It prioritized control.
Mm.
Now, every generation since then has learned a little more than the one before it, and therefore has improved just a little more than the one before it. And so now we have come such a long way in research that today in 2025, we can literally talk about the neuroscience of how your own brain worked during your childhood and how it works today. Like, even with MRIs, like we can start actually
What?
personalizing and understanding our own brain.
So cool.
Yes. And all this to say, there is only one love towards ourselves, our moms, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, our great 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 grandmothers, because every generation did their part in getting
Yeah.
you and me here to make this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too that you say this because I literally just had this conversation with my mom like a couple of weeks ago and how I have seen physical abuse, I would say, just like diminish
generation after generation. Like my mom got it really bad, her mom got it really bad. We got it not as bad as my mom got it, but our kids don't get it at all. Like we do
Yes.
not hit our kids.
Yes.
And it's just
Yes.
so fascinating to like have had that conversation and have that healing experience with my mother. Yeah, that's so interesting.
I literally had the same conversation with my mom like 2 days ago. And it was
Wow.
so beautiful because we could look at life events with an objective perspective and yet have
Hmm.
compassion for each other at the same time.
Right. Because to your point, everybody was just sort of doing what they thought was best.
Exactly. Exactly. And we're going to talk about
Yeah.
why, like all of it. We're going deep today.
Yeah.
So
Let's do
thank
it.
you, ancestors, for applying whatever you thought was the best path at that time in your life. And we really are a team. And our future great great grandkids, like you just said, they won't even understand our deep mother wounds because you and I are dealing with them today. So that they don't
Yeah.
have to. And of course, as we zoom into our wounds today, it is through the lens of love because that's how true healing begins as we move on carrying the torch that our ancestors lit for us.
Mm, so impactful. So, can we talk about the attachment styles? Can you explain what those are and how it relates to our mother wounds?
Yes, we can begin to unravel our mother wound as we begin to understand attachment theory. Some of us might notice that one type of attachment style resonates very dominantly for us, and for others of us, we might resonate, a little with, a little bit of with a little bit of each of them with lesser intensity. Okay, so very
Mm,
briefly, the first type, the most optimal attachment style is called secure attachment, which forms when the parent is consistently responsive and available, ultimately helping children develop a healthy self worth, curiosity about themselves, about the world around them. They form the capacity to build trust. And all this leads to feeling and knowing internally that they are unconditionally worthy of love. The
mm,
second style is called anxious attachment. It's characterized with inconsistent caregiving that creates anxiety in the child because of uncertainty that, they just can't predict what's coming next. And children become
right.
quote unquote clingy. They get upset when they're separated and they struggle to self soothe. The third
Mm,
type is called avoidant attachment. This is where caregivers are either rejecting directly, like, you go to your parent and you need something and they don't even want to listen to you, or they're just like not available. Maybe they're not present, maybe they're not
mhm.
physically present or just mentally present, right? And children learn to suppress their needs, appearing independent but lacking skills for building intimacy and affection, and they end up fearing closeness. The fourth type is called disorganized attachment, where caregivers struggle with their own fear and their own trauma, and their parenting behavior becomes contradictory, unpredictable, and it can be a blend of both anxious and avoidant attachment styles. And these children intensely crave affection and want love, but they also fear it. And as adults, they may want closeness yet push people away.
I don't know why that that was making me want to cry out of all of them. I don't know why though.
Girl, it's okay to cry.
That immediately brought tears to my eyes, but I don't know why.
We're going to go into that one very deeply today.
Okay. Wow, my body was like, that's me.
It's like a punch to the gut.
Wow, that's so
Isn't
fascinating.
it isn't it amazing? Yeah,
Okay,
healing has
yeah.
already begun, everyone.
Wow, yeah. That okay. Yeah, let's keep going. This is great.
All of these have lifelong impacts. For example, they provide the foundation for how we view ourselves and others. For some of us, a certain attachment style might resonate deeply, and we can connect our daily life struggles to an attachment type. For others of us, we may feel some effects, but maybe not on a daily basis. One of the most helpful ways to heal from a harmful childhood is by reprocessing our childhood experiences from a new perspective. Today, I'm excited to share ideas that might help you in your journey.
I'm so excited to hear them. So, for those of us listening who might feel like we didn't receive love in the most optimal way, how can you help us with that?
The mother wound forms when our identity, concept of self, our self worth, is created from the meaning we give to our lived experiences, especially during childhood. And I am proposing to you that this journey from wound to healing to wholeness is actually a journey of discovering self love, especially if you feel like you didn't receive love in the most optimal way. And the truth is, we are all capable of knowing internal love. Therefore, our shift in perspective today is rooted in our willingness to learn a new way of thinking. And I will frame it with a perspective of internal love.
So, you've said that the mother wound is like a physical wound. How does that analogy help us understand the different intensities of the mother wound?
The mother wound can have all the varieties of a physical wound. For example, a paper cut may sting, but it can still heal without a trace, right? On the other hand, a deep gash may require immediate medical attention and leave a scar. And just like the mother wound, the process of physical healing can also be painful, but it ultimately does lead to recovery. So, the good news for both the mother wound and physical wounds is that the brain and body immediately know how to begin the healing process. Your brain has always done what it thinks is the best way to protect you. But sometimes, just like in a physical wound, persistently provoked wounds might get stuck in an early phase of healing without progress.
Wow.
Today, we will discuss how to move forward in our healing. In my personal journey of healing, I have come to appreciate every wound because each wound represents a new opportunity of love within myself. And I really do believe that it's right there in the wound where the light of healing enters you. So, if you have wounds like me, let's go for a walk.
Like me too, because I got wounds.
I'm gonna start crying and singing.
Okay. All right, we're singing, crying and singing. Okay, so you've taken everything you know and you've turned it into this 6-step journey from wound to healing to wholeness. Now, before we unpack each step in detail, can you walk us through an overview of those 6 steps?
Yes. So I've summarized a strategy into 6 steps to promote the love or compassion based perspective shift we need to move forward. Briefly speaking, step 1 involves setting an intention, or you can call it a plan. Step 2 is about preparing the nervous system for optimal personal growth. Step 3 is labeling our thoughts as love or fear. Step 4 is about understanding where our thoughts come from. Then, step 5 is reframing those thoughts into a new perspective that will serve us better. And finally, step 6 is adopting a wholesome perspective from which new habits can grow. And I've done this entire process many, 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 many times. And I will say, at first, it's kind of tricky to make a new habit, but when you are truly ready, you will find yourself making life-changing decisions in a split second. And the rest becomes this journey that we're about to discuss.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, let's get into it.
Okay. All right, class. This is a lot of information. It's okay to feel overwhelmed or intimidated by it, but the good news is you can listen to this again. And when you do, get your pen and paper ready to write down what resonates with you for step 1, which is the intention of highest love.
So, starting with step 1, you invite us to set the following intention or plan, which is my intention is for the pathway of highest love for myself, others, and the planet. Why do you start there?
Oh, you sound so nice. Okay. I love myself the most that I can. It didn't start off that way though. But from where I'm at now, it is from that place that I choose to heal. And setting this intention tells the brain to start looking for solutions that reflect self love. And the challenge is that we have to discover what self love means to us.
You mentioned that research across psychology, neuroscience, medicine, and anthropology shows us that love is actually an instinct, which is so fascinating to me. Can you explain what you mean by that and why it matters for healing the mother wound?
Yes, I love this part. Okay. So, researchers in all the fields you mentioned, they found that decision making from a place of love or compassion is an evolutionarily significant biological adaptation. Researchers in several fields have found that decision making from a place of love or compassion is an evolutionarily significant biological adaptation, meaning it is required for survival, which
Wow.
means love is an instinct.
Mm.
So let's learn about love, honey.
Yes, honey. Let's learn about love, honey.
So the mechanism for love is genetically passed down, and it's affected by the way we were loved.
Mm.
Okay. The second point is that love is physically healing. Like literally, it increases oxytocin, dopamine in the reward pathway. It reduces stress hormones. It strengthens the immune system and activates the relaxation state of the nervous system. And just, off the top of my head, I can think of one example that does show how love matters to physical survival.
Mm.
All right, everyone, look up Romanian orphanages. Okay. During the Romanian communist era, policies banning contraception and abortion led to a massive increase in children whose parents very tragically could not afford to keep them.
Mm.
So the orphanages became absolutely overcrowded. As you can imagine, children were significantly neglected and ignored.
Mm.
This includes infants who were never picked up and hugged. They were never given affection or love. And this is the reason that infants were dying in large numbers.
Wow.
When babies and children are not given affection and hugs, their nervous system will continuously release stress hormones, which the world learned is fatal.
Wow.
This lack of physical bonding can lead to what we call a failure to thrive. That memory really touches my heart and it always makes me want to
Yeah.
cry.
And it's just also shows me how everything's so connected. If you don't give women bodily autonomy, then we end up with situations like this. And then you end up with a whole generation of children that don't feel love or haven't felt loved and didn't get this from birth. And it's so crazy how it's just like a ripple effect,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Exactly. And babies didn't choose this.
Babies
They
didn't
don't get to
choose
pick.
this.
They don't get to
Yeah.
pick who they're born to.
It's not
Uh,
fair. Yeah.
uh, now I'm crying. Okay.
Whew.
So, okay, this is also why your local hospital most likely has a volunteer program to cuddle babies in the NICU.
Oh, wow.
We
Yeah.
learned something.
Mm.
We learned. Okay. Our third point before I start sobbing. I need but everyone listening, you can pause and cry. Okay, third point. Love has given us social advantages like our ability to survive, find mates, and reproduce. The fourth point, love physically alters the neurons in your brain, allowing us to make better decisions. The fifth point is that love also uses reward pathways in the brain to promote social behavior that directly affects personal well being. It improves mental resilience. It improves the drive for social cooperation, like being a team player, and so much more. And overall, the research shows that intentional love, compassion, kindness, positivity is crucial for all human activities throughout all of time, past, present, and future.
Wow.
So, as you can see, our capacity to give and receive love is advantageous to human beings. And I believe love is the key to forward progress in our mother wound. This supports why we want the intention of love, because we are already wired to use it. All we have to do is activate it. And one of the first steps to begin self-love is to learn how to regulate our nervous system.
All comes back to the nervous system, baby. Huh.
I love how neuroscience and like every day,
I know.
like
I
it all goes
know.
together. In my brain, everything, like the world makes sense.
Okay, Seekers, I think this is a really great place to take a break. We'll be right back with the episode. Here's a perspective shift. Your business doesn't need more pushing, it needs alignment. At 3 of Cups Healing, we offer intuitive marketing solutions using tarot, energy healing, and heart-centered creative guidance. We help emerging business owners turn clarity into momentum and vision into action. So, Seekers, if you're ready to grow your business with more intention and ease, book a free consultation with us at 3ofcupshealing.com. Your vision, your magic. Let's make it real. Together. That's 3ofcupshealing.com. And now, back to the episode.
Get your pen and paper ready to write down what resonates with you for step 2, which is regulating the nervous system. So to regulate the nervous system, I want you to associate that from now on with inhale deeply, inhale a little more again, hold it, and long exhale. So really that was one big interesting inhale and an exhale. So you inhale and then inhale again and then exhale. And you do that like 3 times. Focused breathing tells our nervous system that it is now safe to relax. The relaxation of the brain and body helps us implement new ideas in our plans for self-love. If we don't help our nervous system feel calm and safe, then we will be just like the babies from the Romanian orphanages. We will continuously be releasing stress hormones. A stressed nervous system is too overwhelmed to try new ideas like self-love because it's literally, physically preoccupied with survival. Therefore, when we start exploring the mother wound today, certain memories can cause severe emotional reactions. To prevent distress or at least help a little, we should continuously come back to taking slow, deep breaths and helping our nervous system feel safe while examining potentially painful memories.
So, Dr. Burgos, for those of us who love their mother, but immediately gets anxious at the thought of calling her, can you explain what's happening in our brain and body?
This is a perfect example of why step 2 of deep breathing is useful. So, if you already know you'll have an emotional reaction to calling your mom, then focus on breathing and feeling calm relaxation in your body first. And do not make that call until you can maintain that calm relaxation. Then, once you're on the call, continuously check in with yourself to notice if you need a moment to recenter. It's okay to gently end the conversation if needed. This decision of checking in is a sign of self-love. This is exactly the same thing we're doing when we pick up a crying baby. We are helping the baby's nervous system to feel safe again, which helps the baby to stop crying.
Wow.
Okay, get your pen and paper ready, everyone, to write down what resonates with you for step 3, which is labeling thoughts as love or fear.
Ooh. Well, step three might also sound simple, but I feel like coming from you, it's going to be kind of huge.
Girl, you have learned. Because I am using love to frame our healing journey, I like to observe my thoughts and categorize them as love based or fear based. Doing this helps us understand how our nervous system is programmed as either predominantly in a fear state or predominantly in a relaxed state. Okay, everyone. Okay, it's story time. I created a character to help us learn. Let me get my storytelling voice ready. So, 21-year-old Tracy barely caught her flight on time because she scheduled it right after her last exam of the semester. As she finally takes her seat, she realizes how hungry she is and orders food on her flight. Upon landing, Tracy calls her mom, who asks if she's hungry because she made her favorite meal. Tracy loves her mom and loves that she remembers to make her favorite meal on special occasions like today. However, Tracy hesitated to say she's actually still full from her meal on the plane. On the ride home, she feels knots in her stomach and she knows her mom will feel disrespected if she doesn't accept the plate of food. As predicted, Tracy's mom greets her at the door with the best hug and even some happy tears, after which Tracy sees the plate of food waiting for her on the dining table. Her mom lovingly insists that if she eats, they can go shopping after. And as Tracy sits down at the table, she thinks to herself, oh, here I go again, accepting a plate of food, even though I'm not hungry.
So, how would you label Tracy's thoughts? Would you label them as fear-based or would you label them as love-based?
I'm going to let the audience decide.
Oh,
Oh, this
choose
is
your own adventure.
red pill or blue pill, y'all.
Okay, well, I would say that her thoughts are fear-based. That's what comes up for me because she's afraid of letting her mom down. I could put myself in that situation and that's how I would feel. Like, I don't want to let my mom down. She did all this hard work, and if I tell her that I'm full, then she's going to feel sad about it.
Absolutely. The cool thing about this question is that there is no right or wrong answer. It's what you notice in yourself.
Yeah, because then it could also be love based, where it's like, oh, I want to protect my mom because I love her
She's had a
and
rough
I don't want her to,
day,
she had a rough
did all this
day.
for
That's so
me.
fascinating. Yeah, can totally see it going both ways. That's so interesting. So is it really just about how it feels in your body?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Notice how it feels in your body. Everyone's going to have a different response to this question.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through what you're feeling together for the
Ah,
rest of our
got it.
conversation.
Okay.
And we're going to explain why you feel that way and where it comes from.
And the other thing this reminds me of, and I know it's just because I come from an immigrant mom, but like a lot of us, I know we're taught like eat what is on your plate. Like don't be rude, don't be ungrateful, like eat that food, like eat all of it, every last grain of rice.
Don't you add no extra seasoning
Right?
to my chicken.
Right?
I
Don't
made
add
it
nothing
right.
else to it, but eat the clean plate.
There's enough
Finish the
salt on
food.
that. Don't you add more salt. Don't put lemon
So,
on it. You're going to
right,
ruin the flavor.
right. So why do these kind of messages create so much fear and guilt in our bodies later on in life? What is that about?
Excellent, excellent follow up question. For some reason, saying yes to unwanted food became part of Tracy's survival mechanism in childhood. Why? Because her little baby 2-year-old brain discovered that mommy has a negative reaction when baby Tracy does not eat her food. For example, baby Tracy's mom would throw her plate of food to the ground if she wouldn't eat her vegetables. Then starve, she would yell. When family came to visit, Tracy's mom would roll her eyes. Ugh, little Miss Twig here eats like a bird. Here, maybe she'll eat this if you give it to her.
Mm.
The worst was when baby Tracy was physically held down to eat, sometimes throwing up her food.
Mm.
Mommy's big negative reaction feels devastating in baby Tracy's small body. Why? Remember, babies are wired to need love to survive. Therefore, baby Tracy's highest priority is to receive love, and baby Tracy thinks that mommy will love her if she just eats the damn food.
Wow. Yeah. So we talked about like trauma bonds as well. You say that trauma bonds can form from abusive cycles of affection and manipulation. So how does that apply here? Because that feels pretty abusive, like being held down to like be fed. Feel like, to me, in my opinion, I'm like, I would never do that to a kid because it
Oh,
feels like abuse, feels like trauma.
have you ever seen a baby in a high chair?
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing to them? We're
Mm.
restricting them, and you can't get out of there until you're done eating.
That is so fast. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. What if I did that to me or to you, to an adult? Like, no, 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 you can't leave till you're done. Like, dude, like I can decide when I'm done. I can listen to my body. Thank you. And so can babies.
Mm.
In fact, just an aside, I'm a mom of a new baby, and one of the best tips I have for anyone out there is look up the Montessori method.
Mm-hmm.
Maria Montessori, Dr. Maria Montessori, she was fabulous at observing children, and she realized that they actually have autonomy
Mm.
and we can trust them.
Mm.
So this is where just trust how your baby eats. So what I do is for my son, food is always available and he's allowed to go and get it when he needs it.
Yeah.
And let's say I made food for everybody and I, put food on his plate. And if he doesn't finish it, I literally trust his body
Yeah.
and that he'll come back when he needs to. And you know what? If dinner's over and it's about to be before bedtime, well, guess what? I have a little stick of cheese. You can have that.
Yeah.
Like it's always available when he needs it, but it's on his terms.
Oh, I love that so much. It's like not using food as a form of punishment. Like, oh, well, you don't want to eat with the food on your plate. Well, you're going to go to bed hungry. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
so fascinating. So the trauma bonds, right? Let's get back to that because I'm really interested to know about this. Like those trauma bonds form from these abusive cycles of affection and manipulation, right? How does that actually apply here?
So the reward pathway in baby Tracy's brain realizes that affection is limited in this world. But for her, the brain craves affection for survival. Her brain makes her willing to eat the food in exchange for the rush of love hormones and chemicals that she desperately needs. This is called a trauma bond, which is a form of an emotional addiction. So, what I'm saying is, what do we all do when baby finally finishes their plate of food? Oh, good job, baby. You finished all your food. Oh, look at my baby. She's growing up so big and strong because she eats all her food.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
sounds different now, right?
Yeah.
So now, baby Tracy grows up following this rule that making her mommy happy at all costs is in baby Tracy's best interest. And this rule remains in place for Tracy today as an adult college student. And as we will see in step 4, this rule for making mommy happy in exchange for love will affect Tracy's adult life in several ways.
You just painted this intense picture of Sweet Tracy. So, what if someone's story only includes being criticized for their appearance with the use of fat-related nicknames or skinny-related nicknames? Because I got that too growing up. I got you eat like a bird, and then also in our family, um, it's heavy on the pointing out like whether you gained weight or whether you're too skinny. And that's been like it's not from that actually doesn't come from my mom, but it has come from like other relatives. You know what I mean? Like you look fat or you look skinny or whatever, like so
Like, you
how
look sick.
you
Why are
look
you so
sick,
skinny?
right?
I get
Yeah.
that. I used to get that. Oh, honey, you're so skinny. Are you
Are you
sick?
sick?
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just fit.
Right.
I just decide what, like, I listen to my body.
How do we deal with this? These nicknames.
So many have learned that a child's self-image can truly be damaged with nicknames that start off well intentioned. And I've heard people ask, at what
Mm.
point is it time to stop calling them these nicknames so that it doesn't affect them in the long term? And my thought process is, if we're not sure where to draw the line, maybe we shouldn't use them at all. At this stage,
Mm.
what we tell them becomes adopted into their self identity. Okay, here's another example. I was labeled as the smart kid early on, and by high school, it was part of my self-image. The problem is that I developed perfectionism from it, which is damaging. I didn't know how to give myself grace or how to discover my strengths because I had to be excellent at everything. So maybe it's better to let children discover their natural strengths with our balanced guidance instead of telling them who they are to you and therefore limiting them to your image.
We're going to wrap part 1 of the mother wound science here. And for people listening to part 1, what is one small practice you would love them to try this week using steps 1, 2, and 3?
Just notice your nervous system. Start to notice, okay, anger is, nervous system is in survival mode. Severe sadness, okay, nervous system is in survival mode. Severe fear, okay, nervous system is in survival mode. And how do we get back to relaxation? Take a deep breath. Step away, take a deep breath. Think of the crying baby within you, and you just take care of that baby. That's it.
Can you give us a small teaser of what we're going in part 2?
We are going to go into the deep wound. We're going into the cave, honey. Bring your flashlight. Bring your flashlight. That's all I can say.
All right. We might need some extra batteries too.
Yeah. Solar power is not going to help you in there.
Okay, Seekers, so that was part 1 of the Science of the Mother Wound with Dr. DeMarty Burgos. And next week, we've got part 2, where Dr. Burgos breaks down what healing and integration can actually look like once awareness begins. And you guys, if this episode has brought up anything, like any grief or anything that feels uncomfortable in your body, I highly recommend going back and listening to our grief episodes. They are so healing and so informative, and I know you'll get so much out of them. I'm Julian Irons, and this is a perspective shift on healing with the Hanged Woman. If you feel inspired, like, share, and follow so we can keep the conversation going. Until next time, hang in there, Seeker. And remember, perspective is power.